And during these times, you don't get everything that you're used to. This is not what this time is about. This time is about enduring and standing up to the challenges of it, keeping a great mindset, mentality, so that you can make it through it and help the people that need the help and all. And a good deal of that is not doing what you normally get to do. And so, I get to talking like a ball coach and say you got to suck it up. It's hard and it's challenging and you got to figure it out.
In other words, despite a pandemic, always compete. As we welcome you to another season of Seahawks Saturday Night alongside former Seahawks linebacker Dave Wyman. I'm Aaron Levine. The players are back on the field tomorrow after an off day today. But Dave, what are your first impressions after the first couple days of practice?
Well, for me this offseason, it's been all about defense and how they're going to add to that, how they're going to fix things, because they've been on the decline for the last 2 or 3 years. But boy, watching the defensive backfield out there, Aaron, that to me that's how a Pete Carroll defense is built from the back forward. And he's an old DB coach himself, but getting Jamal Adams, Quentin Dunbar, who is going to be here shortly, and now you have Ugo Amadi and Marquise Blair out there competing, not to mention Quandre Diggs, Trey Flowers. I mean, all of a sudden it's very crowded back there. And when they signed Jamal Adams, I said they just got 10 extra sacks, and not just because he can blitz, but mostly because the coverage is going to be much tighter, and they're going to be able to play more aggressively.
Love seeing Greg Olsen out there, one of the newcomers to the offense as well. We'll get to that in a second. In a normal year, the Seahawks would have played their first preseason game this week. No preseason games at all this year. How does that affect the team?
Well, it's going to be tough for the young guys, and obviously around the NFL, everybody's on the same level ground. But for young guys, for some of the undrafted free agents who are rookies especially, but for some of the development for the younger guys, I was drafted in the second round, and my first year in the league, I played in 4 games, got 3 tackles. The next year I developed in the preseason and was able to get that. So those guys are going to miss out on a lot of that. So that's going to be tough. But, the Seahawks did a good job of signing a lot of veterans, seasoned veterans in the offseason. So they won't necessarily need those guys. And it's not like those young guys can't develop, but it's going to be a lot more difficult for them.
As we all know, the game is won and lost in the trenches. Let's start on the offensive line that loses 3 starters from last season: Justin Britt, DJ Fluker, and Jermaine Ifedi. So you have Dwayne Brown, Mike Upati on the left side. At center, likely a battle between newcomer B.J. Finney and Ethan Posick, and then a rookie at right guard, third-round draft pick Damian Lewis, and likely Brandon Shell at right tackle, who comes over from the New York Jets. But we can't forget about the other guys as well, competing for starting roles and playing time. In fact, Jamarco Jones also spent time at guard last year, so he can fill a number of spots. A couple newcomers in Cedric Ogbuehi and Chad Wheeler. Phil Haynes could compete at left guard, and Jordan Simmons, remember, he was fantastic a couple years ago, filling in for DJ Fluker at right guard. Here's what Russell Wilson had to say about the O-line.
I feel really confident about our guys. Obviously Dwayne is tremendous at what he does and how he plays the game. He's as good as it gets at his position, the left tackle position. Big Mike having him back, his confidence, his knowledge of the game, his experience. Obviously the loss of Britt, not having Britt this season is definitely different for me personally, but done it before, and I know Britt was a great player for us, and so gonna miss my guy there. But BJ and Ethan are both ready to play. I think the key to the cohesiveness is just us getting out there and practicing, though, and kind of going to what you were saying and asking about. I think it's going to be really key for us.
Again, we could see 3 new starters on the offensive line this season. So what's the biggest question that needs to be answered up front?
How quickly those guys can come together, especially in the run game and the run fits, because you've got to go full speed, you've got to have pads on, and so. But the good news is, again, they did sign some veterans like B.J. Finney, and so that'll help. The other thing, Damian Lewis, who you're looking at there, he practically played pro football last year. He played at LSU.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's going to be a little bit further along, but yeah, I think it's going to fall. A lot of this is going to fall on the coaches. And that's good news for the Seahawks, because Mike Solari is one of the finest offensive line minds as far as a coach goes in the NFL. So it's going to be tough for them to get these guys all together. But again, everybody's on equal playing ground, and if it does play out that Damian Lewis is going to start as a rookie, then that's going to be something that will be maybe a little bit unusual around the league. But I like Jamarco Jones, that you talked about quite a bit there as well. So Probably Britt the biggest loss, though. You know, I mean, that's the connection to Russell Wilson. That's who Russ and him probably communicated more than any other offensive lineman. But as you mentioned, you have Upati, you have Dwayne Brown as well.
Well, meanwhile, the Seahawks are loaded at tight end this season, from Greg Olsen to Will Dissly to Jacob Hollister to Luke Wilson, the rookie 4th-round draft pick Colby Parkinson. Let's take a look at all of them. Tyler Mabry and 7th-round pick Steven Sullivan. But how about the 3-time Pro Bowler Greg Olsen? How important was that addition this offseason?
Well, I think it was huge mainly because of the question mark with Will Dissly. I have Will Dissly as my 5th best Seahawk, behind Carson, Wagner, Adams, and of course Russell Wilson. But adding Greg Olsen, I mean, and he's so smooth. When you watch the veterans at practice, like Bobby and KJ and Greg Olsen, they just know how to practice. They know how to move. They're wise. And again, he's another one of these seasoned veterans that they signed, knowing what the landscape was, that it was going to be difficult to develop young guys during the preseason. So really good acquisition by Olsen. And let's not forget about Jacob Hollister. I mean, he was Russell's favorite target for quite a while there after Will Dissly went down.
3rd leading receiver on the team last year was Jacob Hollister, and he missed the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season because he was on the Seahawks practice squad. It really tells you something about last year. Great also to see Will Dissly pass his physical after another long road through recovery and rehab, this time for a torn Achilles. Up next, Russell Wilson had all kinds of success finding Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf last season. We're going to talk with one of Russell's newest targets. That's coming up. Plus, we're putting the spotlight on the defense, from impact free agents to one of the best linebackers in the game. That's next on Seahawks Saturday Night.
This is football. Trust the call. Be in your gap. Be in your gap. Trust your fit. Let's go. Be on 3. 1, 2, 3. I should have picked it, bro. I had it. Woo! Go! Let's go get it, man. No fear. Let's go dominate. One play at a time. Let's do it together. Let's go celebrate in the end zone. Let's go. Hawks on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hawks.
A 3-man rush, and Russ is scrambling out of the pocket. And now he lays it up over the top. The ball is caught by Metcalf between 2 defenders.
Great inside tight.
Russell has time. Rolls. Stops. Down the middle. Lockett has the catch. He is in. Touchdown.
Let's go. Let's go. I see you, boy.
And that was from the first game of a season where Russell Wilson finished with 31 touchdowns and only 5 interceptions. What can you say about the chemistry he's continuing to build with all the weapons that he currently has, and specifically his receivers?
Well, you know, Tyler Lockett's leadership. I mean, you heard from him. He's talking about how there's enough to go around for everybody. When do you ever hear the #1 target, the #1 receiver say something like that? So that's where a part of the chemistry comes from. And then Russell, of course. But yeah, this is a good group. And DK Metcalf, we just saw glimpses of just perfection last year, and I don't see him having any kind of a sophomore slump. And then, you know, maybe the most unheralded signing is Philip Dorsett. And that guy, I watched every play that he had last year where he touched the ball. He can run a fly sweep. He can run a 5-yard out. He can beat you deep. So, and plenty of speed there. I mean, we're talking 4.3, 4.4. Those 3 guys, they've got some race cars there at wide receiver. So, yeah, plenty of weapons for Russell. We just talked about the tight ends, and you know, I think they're going to figure into it huge. But you got some really speedy wide receivers. And how about John Ursua? There's another guy that's looked really good. So don't count him out either. So it's going to be exciting to watch these guys develop.
Well, take a look at all the receivers on the current roster. There's Lockett, Metcalf. You mentioned Dorsett. Don't forget about David Moore, John Ursua, the former Husky Aaron Fuller, Freddie Swain, the 6th-round draft pick out of Florida. All of these guys trying to prove themselves without any preseason games. We now welcome new Seahawks receiver Philip Dorsett. Philip, how nice has it been to finally get out here with your new team in person the last couple of weeks?
It's been amazing. I'm still trying to get acclimated. I'm still trying to get acclimated to the area. A lot of my teammates, I mean, this is a weird offseason we had, so I didn't get a chance to meet a lot of the defensive guys. So I'm just blessed to be here, and I'm just I just can't wait for the opportunity.
I'm assuming it's a lot different from New England, but what are your first impressions on how they operate here, from being inside the building to practices and meetings as well?
Yeah, it's different. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the way that the culture that they have around here, the way that they treat you, it's just amazing. And I mean, New England has a great culture too, but you come here, it's just different. I mean, it's something different, and both ways work. But I'm just blessed to be here.
Coming into a new system is never easy, but in what ways have you been able to build chemistry with Russell Wilson from the offseason until now? Just
throwing with him. I went out to San Diego with him and trained with him for a while. And I mean, the connection's there. I mean, I feel like we can get a lot better with these practices coming up. But I think it was a natural connection. And obviously, I think it'll get better with time, the more we practice with each other. But it's just been an amazing experience so far. Rather than ask you who the fastest receiver is, I'm going to ask you this. Between you, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, is that the fastest trio of receivers in the entire league? And if there was a relay race, do you guys come out on top? That's a good question. We're up there. I wouldn't sit here and say that we're the fastest. I mean, I don't want to put that on anybody, but we're up there. I mean, I feel like we got a lot of explosive guys that can run and that can also run routes, that can catch. And I think we got a really, really good group. Take me into a receiver's Zoom meeting or what it's like out there. Who's the most talkative? What stands out to you about that group? I mean, we got an amazing group of guys, a whole bunch of different characters. I mean, everybody's outgoing. I mean, that room is like a tight-knit family. I mean, they welcome me in with open arms. And, I mean, you got DK, he's a jokester. You got Tyler's another jokester. I'm a jokester, so I feel like we all fit in. I mean, Demo, I mean, it feels like a family in the room. It's great to hear. I know you won a Super Bowl in New England and had some great times there. What excites you the most about being in this offense in particular? It's just open. I mean, you can see we got a lot of guys that can make a lot of different plays. In the receiver room, running backs room, the tight end room, and then obviously we got Russell back there controlling everything. And I think with him controlling everything, with Shotty calling the plays, I think it could be really good. I mean, I don't want to put any limits on this group, so I just think that we can be really explosive, and but we got to put it on film first. You mentioned Shotty. How important is that familiarity with having been with him originally in Indianapolis and him being the quarterback's coach there at the time? I think it was really important. I wanted to go somewhere where I was a little bit familiar with what they were going on with the scheme, and I think the scheme fits my skill set. So I think that's what I was really looking for, and I'm blessed to be able to come in this situation and already being coached by Shotty and Sanjay, and being familiar with a lot of guys on the staff already. So I think that was a blessing for me. Well, you were number 15 with the Colts, number 13 with the Patriots. So why number 11 with the Seahawks, other than it's just decreasing to the next odd number? I just felt like it was just time for a new number. I mean, I like number 11. I was number 1 growing up my whole Little League career. So I just wanted to go back to that. And Percy Harvin was one of my favorite players. And I remember he had 11 when he came here, and it's just something I just wanted to just change. Well, we welcome you with open arms and can't wait to see what you can do this upcoming season. Thank you for joining us, and great to have you in Seattle. Best of luck this season. Thank you. I appreciate that. Coming up in our 2020 season debut edition of Seahawks Saturday Night, we're talking defense and what the addition of Jamal Adams does for the Seahawks. That's next.
I might not. Don't say too much. You're going to make me look crazy. he been take me to school. Don't take me to school, bro. Yeah, I'm going straight in.
Four-man rush. Gets hit. No, now he's away. As Griffin starting to chase him out of the pocket.
He got to have it. Hey. You let me down. I told you all week what you was going to get. I'm on the sideline. I said he's going to be the first one. You ran in there all week what it was going to be.
Touchdowns now, touchdowns, let's go. Alert.
Russ waits. Now he scrambles. Now he throws. Crossing route. Ball is caught. Breaking a tackle.
Yeah, Demo. Keep going.
He's headed to the end zone. Knocked down at the 5-yard line.
Come on, let's go. Run it.
Marshawn Lynch in the backfield. He takes a handoff. He stopped.
Put him over.
He's still in. He's in for a touchdown.
Yeah! Yeah! We're good. Let him get in.
Cal takes the snap, looks, pump fake. Now he's going to scramble. Now he's being chased.
Huh? Come here. Come here. Yeah. Come here. Let's go. Hey, don't give me the bird. Don't give me the bird. Don't do that. Put your damn shirt on. Put your shirt on. Put your shirt on.
You know, KJ is going to have the last word with Eagles fans for even longer if fans are not allowed inside the stadium this season. Amazing. It's his 10th season in Seattle. Both he and Bobby Wagner now have another guy to mentor, and that is first-round draft pick Jordan Brooks. What's the biggest challenge for the rookie linebacker?
Turn your brain off. Just go out and play. Use your speed. Use all the aggression. And I watched him do that drill, and it sounds like a jackhammer when he hits the sled. So he's a big, strong kid. He's really aggressive. You know, it's going to be tough, but you know what? He's got great mentorship. Bobby and KJ, you couldn't have better leaders on your defense than those two guys. And then also, you got Ken Norton, who's probably the best ex-NFL player coaching in the NFL right now. I saw him spending a lot of time with Ken Norton. So, yeah, they just have to get him on the field. They're going to need to get him in situations where, like I said the other day during the camp show that we did, just push play. Push play and let him go get the quarterback. Let him, you know, run around, make plays, not think too much. That's always the problem with rookies. But it's going to be difficult to get on the field for him, too, because of Bobby and KJ and, of course, Cody Barton and his development.
Yeah, Jordan Brooks, the first Texas Tech linebacker to be named either a first or second team All-American since Zach Thomas all the way back in 1996. Meanwhile, in the secondary, the Hawks bring in Jamal Adams. They also bring in Quentin Dunbar. There was a lot of talk about it this week. Is Adams' role in the Seahawks secondary and Seahawks safety position any different than the safety position he played for the Jets?
Well, it'll be a little bit different. And although I'll very strongly disagree with his ex-coach Greg Williams. He said he's going to get bored in this defense, and I really don't think that's going to happen. Look, I always say there's three parts to every play. Number one, get lined up so you can execute your responsibility. Number two, execute your responsibility. But the third part is turn it loose and go be a player. And I think this defense allows you to do that more than other places. So, and I'll just rely on the Zen master that is Cam Chancellor. He said on Twitter in response to this, he said, when you see a lot, you see nothing, but when you see one thing, you see everything. And he's basically speaking to the fact that, you know, you can really maximize your potential by you know, just like I said, turn your brain off, not having too much to look at, not having too much to focus on.
We know this. He's very particular with details, Jamal Adams is. He made sure that his bed was made and the hotel room behind him was clean when he met with the media for the first time in a Zoom interview a couple weeks ago. Then we also have Bruce Irvin back and Benson Mayowa back, trying to get more pressure on the quarterback. What are the strengths of the defensive line?
Well, I think those two guys are definitely going to help. Jaron Reed, certainly. I think Jaron Reed is going to be the 10.5 sack guy, not the 2 sack guy that he was last year. And he did miss 6 games last year. But, you know, you bring back 2 guys in Mayowa and Irvin that are very familiar with this defense. The other thing, too, is they're guys that are veterans that are coming off their best seasons. So Mayowa didn't start a game with the Cowboys last year, had 7 sacks, career high for him. Bruce Irvin had 8.5, and one of those was against Russell Wilson in Carolina when he played for the Panthers last year. So, yeah, those 2 guys, I think, but, you know, the coverage and Adams and Diggs, that's really going to help out with the pass rush because a lot of times last year there was just no time to get to the quarterback.
Bruce Irvin told me he wasn't worried about the coronavirus coming back. He's just worried about sacking Matt Ryan week 1 in Atlanta. Up next, the Seahawks continue to prepare for the opener in Atlanta. We'll take a look at that new Seahawk that Dave thinks will have the biggest impact to start the season. Again, back here with Dave Wyman. Dave, in general, which new player do you expect to have the biggest impact this year?
Well, I think the safeties in Pete Carroll's defense are the most important players. And you go back to Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. That's why those defenses were so good. That's why they were the Legion of Boom. So it's Jamal Adams. And I think he's going to make Quandre Diggs a lot better as well. So those 2 guys back there, yeah, Jamal Adams is a really good football player, 3-time Pro Bowler. So, yeah, he's definitely going to have the biggest impact.
They've known each other since Jamal Adams was 17 years old when Quandre Diggs hosted him in a recruiting trip at the University University of Texas. It's certainly a different kind of camp this year, but at least they are still playing football. We're back with you on Seahawks Saturday Night every week. And a reminder, you can see training camp sessions live on Q13 FOX throughout the week starting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We'll be with you tomorrow, Monday and Tuesday, Thursday and Friday this week. It's all right here on your official Seahawks station. For Dave Wyman, I'm Aaron Levine. Have a great night, everyone, and we will see you tomorrow afternoon.